Welcome to the channel. You are watching The Squad. Today I am bringing you my favorite card out of Brilliant Stars, Torterra. I know I'm a little late to the party and there's lists out there well before me, but I have been having an absolute blast with this card on PTCG Live. Unfortunately, I can't throw in any gameplay today, but this card is so versatile. It's a stage 2. It hits like an absolute truck. So what's the big deal with Torterra? So, Brilliant Stars, it came in the evolution kits, it's rare in the set. Evo Press for grass and a colorless, it's doing 50 damage for each evolution Pokemon in play. That does cover itself, so you are capping at 300 damage for a one prize Pokemon, and it has 190 hit points. So it's not just going to fold to a quick Jolteon. You can take a hit and then give one right back. So it's a one prize Pokemon, so your opponent has to work through multiple of them in order to go, to deal with you. It searches itself. The Grottle from the set has an ability that lets you search for any grass Pokemon in your deck. So it's Turf Field, which lets you search for grass evolution Pokemon. But anything. So if it's green in your deck and it's a Pokemon, Grottle can get it. You actually want to play the stage 1 in this deck. Oh, it has plenty of grass options. So right now, grass doesn't seem like it, but grass is one of the best supported types in terms of Pokemon in the game. You have your Grottles, you have your Rillabooms, you have your Shero, you have Leafeon, you have the Beedrill that knocks anything out with a special energy, the Butterfree that it can evolve the turn you play down the Caterpie, the turn you play down the Metapod, and then when the Butterfree comes into play, it's doing additional damage and inflicting status conditions. There's more options than what's listed, but there are so many ways to play the deck. And so with that said, let's take a look at the first list today. So the first one is using that Butterfree. So we have our Grottle to search through our deck. So we have our Turtwigs, searching our Caterpies. Every Pokemon in this deck is searchable by Grottle, which is terrific. So you don't need Turf Field in this because you have it on your board. Caterpie evolves when you play it, Metapod evolves when you play it, Butterfree inflicts Burn, Poison, and Confusion, so that's an additional 30 damage between turns. You want to go first with this deck because you have Leafeon, and you can use Greening Cells turn 1. You can accelerate onto one of your Grottles or Turtwigs and attach, and then the next turn you're attaching another energy. So if they do happen to take a KO, you're not without energy on the board. We have the Beedrill in here to 1/0/1 line, just so we can hypothetically deal with the Mew matchups or attack for 1 energy. Leafeon V-Star, such a great card, so cheap if you can pick it up. It's V-Star power once per game. You can boss up one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if something gets knocked out, Cynthia's Aspiration, Grottle, search for the Leafeon V-Star, evolve onto the V that we already had in play ideally, and then you boss, supporter, attack, and our choice spell brings us up to 330, not counting the Butterfree's 30 damage between turns. So we cap out at 360 damage in an ideal world, and it's not that hard to get going. So the rare candy is just kind of there. It's useful if you need to pick up the pace with this deck, but generally you're evolving your Pokemon up. So we have 2 kind of options here. Raihan in case anything gets thrown away. Next up on the list we have NINECARD TCG's list. He beat me to it the other day. We have our Torterras, and we're trying a draw engine with Bibarel. Great list. And then we have the one prize Shero, which lets you accelerate any number of grass energy from your hand to Pokemon without a rule box. Manaphy there, just to cover those spread decks if they do show their faces. Inteleon, great card. When there's no cards in your hand and this card's in the discard pile, draw 3 cards. And then the supporter lines, pretty similar. So you run with your Brunos. If anything gets knocked out, shuffle, draw 7. Cynthia's Aspiration, draw until you have 8 if something's knocked out, draw 5. Bit of Boss, bit of Raihan, a little thicker on the rare candy count, Choice Belt, Rescue Carrier to get your Turtwigs if somebody tries to pick them off, or the Manaphy, get another one. We actually have the Turf Field Stadium here, which lets you search for any grass Pokemon. Yeah, big fan of this list. I've been having a blast as well. If you can go check him out on YouTube, his link will be listed in the description below. That'd be great. We appreciate it. And list number 3. So similar to what was just shown, we have some Torterra Bibarel, but rather than Shero, we are running the Rillaboom from Sword and Shield. So its ability Voltage Beat lets you search for 2 grass energy from your deck. You don't even have to worry about the cards being in your hand anymore. So we have Ultra Ball, we have Level Ball, we have Quick Ball, we have cards that we can easily play to thin down our hand, Turf Field to grab Pokemon, rare candies in the deck. If we miss the energy off the Barrel Search or off the Cynthia, we still have the chance to Voltage Beat and Accelerate. So we can attacks for turn, Voltage Beat to something else, and we can either Raihan or we can Boss. You're typically seeing about 3 energy per turn in this deck. It was not hard to burn through my deck and get the cards that I needed to keep attacks going consecutively. The most important thing with this build though is you have to get that board spread early. So you want to get your captures or quick balls or level balls. You typically want to see at least 1 to 2 Turtwig, a Barrel, or a Bidoof, and a Grookey. So you're asking for a lot to have 4 Pokemon and play that first turn, but this deck, once it's online and you get through that first turn, you're pretty much rolling. The Evo Press is smacking 200 on a 1-prizer turn 2 or more. Alright, and this is the one that I think everybody thought of when we saw this card. Evo Press, Inteleon. Inteleon's consistent. It's a stage 2 line that helps stage 2s. Helps any deck, really. So, again, don't need to rehash the Sundrenched Shell, but this one here I went with the Shady Dealings over any quick shooting. So Mew is very popular in the format. Best deck, of course, you know, whatever. They play Fusion Strike Energy. So quick shooting doesn't do any damage. So realistically, those pings are not always going to help you out. So here I went with an extra attacker. So I have my Raihans, and I have the Sherums, and I threw 2 water energies, so you can do the Aqua Bullet, which is 120 to something, and then ping something else for 20. So if you miss a KO, or you need something to hit something that has water weakness, which fire types are now a thing, gives you an extra out to your weakness. It just gives you consistency and a backup attacker, and then you're playing Sherum. This list doesn't play Manaphy, but at the moment, I'm not respecting the 2 spread decks that are most known, Jolteon and Rapid Strike Urshifu. If they come back in, I would probably cut an Energy Search and put the Manaphy in, or even cutting a Drizzile and putting the Manaphy in. But right now, I'm not seeing them anywhere. So I've yet to see one in the many games I've played with each of these decks. This one is fun. I would definitely check this one out as well. And this one is probably the one my mind went to first. So this one is the one that I have on paper. I have it sleeved up. I am so excited to throw down with this every time like I get a chance to play a game. So, you know, it's Barrel, which is probably my favorite support Pokemon in format at the moment. So draw until you have 5. Torterra is my favorite archetype from this set. Leafeon is just so good in this deck. So you have your captures, you have your quicks, you have your Ultra Balls. So you set up a couple Pokemon. You have your Turf Fields to search. You can throw out Inteleon, so you can play out your hand. Sequence your cards so you play out your hand, and then you're cheating Inteleon into play. So this build here is my go-to, which is why I saved it for last. If you lose an evolution Pokemon, it's typically hard to get that 30 to 50 damage back. But with Inteleon and the way you set up your hand, it's not hard for me to play down my hand. So I will Ultra Ball out for the Inteleon, I will Quick Ball away the Inteleon, I will play my hand to 0, play the Inteleon to replace the 50 damage I just lost when they knocked out my Torterra, and then I draw 3 cards. Then typically I can play 2 to 3 of those cards, and then all of a sudden I still have my supporter for turn, I still have the Barrel for turn, and I'm just chasing things down. I think I rattled off a 9-game win streak I was trying to get for PTCG Live here, but there's currently a bug going on with Leafeon V at the time of recording, where if you have 1 in the active and 1 on the bench on your first turn, that it doesn't trigger the ability, it doesn't prompt. So I kind of had to scrap the videos for this deck here and any other Leafeon containing ones, so I didn't want to throw in video for some and no video for the others. But yeah, you can check out any of these. I've been completely ignoring Arceus V-Star. I have it, but Torterra is so fun. There's so many partners you can pair with it. You can pair it with Cinccino if you want to. You can pair it with Barrel. You can pair it with Inteleon. You can pair it with Leafeon. You can pair it with Arceus V-Star, but I figure most people who have Arceus V-Star are playing it with something else. But you could still play it with that. Like this card, has so much going for it. If you like playing evolution cards like I do, I highly recommend trying this card out and just seeing what you can come up with. There's so many tools in the format for this card to have fun and hit like a truck. And with that said, a lot of people are downplaying this card, but for a one prize Pokemon, it hits like an absolute truck. Hitting 250 damage or 330 damage on turn 2 was not hard for me to do with this deck. Dark Pokemon are on the upswing right now. A lot of new Dark Pokemon are weak to grass. So incoming Pokemon in May for the Astral Radiance set would be Darkrai V-Star and Samurott. Sui and Samurott. They're both weak to grass. Galarian Moltres V and Small Moltres are both weak to grass as well. If Rock type or Fighting type ever pick up, they would hit that as well for weakness. So you have 2 weaknesses that you can cover there. But everybody's trying to beat Mew. So everybody's trying to go with Dark, hit it for weakness. You get to sneak in and hit those decks that are trying to hit Mew. And you don't have to worry about your weakness as much because Mew's too busy scaring away those spread decks. It is a little difficult in the early game because you are trying to spread your board wide first turn. So you typically want to see 3 or 4 or a full bench worth of Pokemon. But if you can get through that early stage of setting up and just get, say, 2 Turtwigs, so you're going Grotle into something else, or Grotle into Torterra and you had that rare candy in hand, or Grotle into Sharam and you had a couple energy in hand, and the turf field, you can just basically snowball from there. So you just get a couple going and then you can search for anything, and then your deck's getting thinner and you're drawing cards. And very rarely did I brick, but you do have to worry about that being a stage 2. But if you get through the first few turns, you're fine, you're rolling. Like it's a great time. You're hitting and they have to respond with 200 damage every turn while you're throwing 1 prizers at them that almost match their output every turn. Yeah, so if spread ever comes back, this deck is going to have a really rough time. So Rapid Strike Urshifu, locally, we don't see a lot of it anymore. So the only time I see Rapid Strike Urshifu or Jolteon is I'm loaning my deck out to someone else and they're practicing with me. So locally, I don't see it. Online, on PTCG Live, it is still the beta. I have not seen a single Rapid Strike Urshifu player. I have not seen Jolteon. Both decks, from what I've been seeing on Limitless as well, they're being played, but they're not being played as much as they were in the Fusion Strike format. So realistically, there's Manaphy, so just keep a Manaphy tucked to the side. If you think you're going to see Jolteon, just kind of sneak it in there. You can cut 1 card. It's not going to fix the matchups. A good spread player will boss it up, and they're going to outspeed you anyway. So do what you will with that one. But besides that, anything that wants to go toe-to-toe with you, you don't mind up-trading, and you don't mind just smacking into it and then having them take a knockout on you. But they might have given up 2 prizes or 3 prizes, and you've only given up the 1. So you don't mind just constantly smacking into them. But with that said, if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. Anybody that checks out the channel, shows their support, you are greatly appreciated. And until next time, take care.